The clock had just struck 3 a.m. in Berlin. The city was wrapped in complete silence. The streets around the famous Berlin Zoo were nearly empty, and most residents were deep asleep. Inside the luxurious Waldorf Astoria Hotel, however, some of the world's biggest tennis stars were spending the night ahead of one of the most important grass court tournaments of the season. Players from around the globe had arrived in Berlin to prepare for the Berlin Open, a key stop on the road to Wimbledon. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Then, without warning, a deafening siren shattered the calm. The hotel's fire alarm suddenly erupted through the corridors, echoing across floors and jolting hundreds of guests awake. The piercing sound cut through the darkness and immediately transformed a peaceful night into a scene of confusion and uncertainty. Within seconds, hotel guests were sitting upright in their beds, trying to understand what was happening. Was there a fire? Was the building in danger? Was this a real emergency? No one knew. Among those awakened by the alarm were some of the biggest names in professional tennis, including Alex Eala, Coco Gauff, Serena Williams, Evala, and several other athletes preparing for competition. Still half asleep, many rushed to grab their phones, jackets, and essential belongings before heading toward the emergency exits. For Alex Eala, the experience was completely unexpected. The Filipino tennis sensation had spent the day preparing for another important tournament appearance. After intense practice sessions and media commitments, she had finally settled into a deep sleep, hoping to get the rest necessary for elite competition. Instead, she suddenly found herself standing in a hotel hallway alongside dozens of confused guests. As people streamed toward the exits, uncertainty filled the air. Nobody knew whether smoke had been detected somewhere in the building or if a serious emergency was unfolding. The only thing everyone knew was that the alarm sounded real enough to demand immediate action. Outside, the chilly Berlin night awaited them. Guests poured out onto the streets as emergency vehicles arrived near the hotel. Flashing blue and red lights illuminated the darkness, creating a dramatic scene that looked more like a movie set than a luxury hotel hosting some of the world's greatest athletes. For a brief moment, the tennis world stopped. The rankings, rivalries, tournament schedules, and championship dreams all became irrelevant. Everyone shared the same concern. What exactly was happening? Among the crowd stood Coco Gauff, one of the biggest stars in women's tennis. Nearby was Alex Eala, while German player Evala joined the growing group of athletes gathered outside the hotel. Elsewhere in the crowd stood one of the most recognizable athletes in sports history, Serena Williams. The 23-time Grand Slam champion had been enjoying a rare night of rest with her family when the alarm interrupted everything. Unlike many other guests, however, Serena had an additional responsibility. She wasn't just thinking about herself, she was thinking about her children. As the evacuation unfolded, Serena focused on making sure her daughters, Olympia and Adira, remained safe and comfortable. While millions of fans know her as one of the greatest champions ever to step onto a tennis court, that night she was simply a mother trying to protect her family during an unexpected emergency. Olympia, still fighting off sleep, stayed close to her mother, while little Adira was carefully carried through the evacuation process. The situation highlighted something fans rarely get to see. Behind the trophies, endorsements, and worldwide fame, athletes experience many of the same challenges as everyone else. Unexpected situations don't care about rankings or celebrity status. At 3 a.m., everyone was equal. Outside the hotel, the atmosphere slowly shifted. The initial panic began to fade as guests realized there was no visible smoke and no immediate signs of danger. Confused conversations started taking place as people searched for information. Questions filled the air. Had someone accidentally triggered the alarm? Was there a technical issue? Or was there actually a fire somewhere in the building? The answers weren't coming quickly. Minutes passed. Then, more minutes. Guests continued waiting outside as emergency personnel investigated the situation. For professional athletes, every hour of sleep matters. Recovery is a critical part of performance, especially during the demanding grass court season leading into Wimbledon. Losing valuable rest just days before important matches was frustrating for many players. Alex Eala understood that reality better than most. As one of the fastest rising stars in women's tennis, every tournament represented another opportunity to prove herself on the international stage. Proper preparation was essential. Yet there she was, standing in the cold Berlin air in the middle of the night, instead of sleeping. Despite the inconvenience, something remarkable happened. The unusual circumstances created a rare moment of unity. Players who normally competed fiercely against one another suddenly found themselves sharing the exact same experience. Rivalries disappeared. Rankings became meaningless. For those few moments, everyone was simply trying to stay awake and understand why they had been pulled from their beds. Alex Eala and Coco Gauff stood together among the crowd. On the tennis court, they are competitors. Off the court that night, they were simply two young athletes dealing with an unexpected situation. The image perfectly captured the human side of professional sports. Fans often see athletes only during matches, press conferences, or carefully managed social media posts. Rarely do they get a glimpse into moments like this. Moments that are completely unscripted. Moments that reveal genuine reactions. Moments that remind everyone that athletes are people first. Recognizing how unusual the situation was, Eala decided to document it. She pulled out her phone and snapped a photograph that would soon spread across social media. The image showed Alex Eala and Coco Gauff standing near a fire truck while emergency lights illuminated the background. The timestamp on the image revealed the unbelievable hour. 3:46 a.m. later, Eala uploaded the photo online and added a caption that instantly resonated with fans. 3 a.m. fire alarm fit check. The humor was impossible to miss. Within hours, the image was being shared across social media platforms, attracting attention from tennis fans around the world. People loved the authenticity of the moment. There were no carefully planned poses, no professional photographers, no makeup teams, no media strategy, just athletes standing outside a hotel in the middle of the night after being unexpectedly evacuated. The image offered a behind-the-scenes glimpse into professional tennis that fans rarely get to see. While social media enjoyed the humor, the disruption remained very real for those involved. Guests stayed outside for nearly 45 minutes while emergency personnel completed their investigation. The wait felt much longer. Sleep deprivation was beginning to set in. Many guests were exhausted. Some wrapped themselves in jackets or blankets while others paced around trying to stay warm. The flashing emergency lights continued reflecting across the streets of Berlin. Eventually, the answer arrived. There was no fire, no smoke, no danger. The entire evacuation had been triggered by a technical malfunction. A faulty alarm system had created the chaos. The moment officials confirmed the news, a wave of relief swept through the crowd. People laughed. Others shook their heads in disbelief. Some simply wanted to return to bed as quickly as possible. The crisis was over before it had truly begun. Yet despite the relief, the experience had already become unforgettable. For Alex Eala, it was one of those strange moments that athletes encounter during long careers. No amount of training, preparation, or experience could have prepared her for standing outside a luxury hotel at nearly 4 o'clock in the morning alongside some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. For Serena Williams, it became another reminder that parenthood often presents challenges that are completely different from anything encountered in professional competition. For Coco Gauff, it was an unexpected interruption during a crucial stage of tournament preparation. And for tennis fans around the world, it became a fascinating story that revealed the human side of elite athletes. Eventually, guests were allowed back into the hotel. The emergency vehicles departed. The flashing lights disappeared. The streets gradually returned to silence. One by one, players made their way back to their rooms, hoping to salvage whatever sleep remained before the start of a new day. Yet the images from that night would continue circulating online. The photo of Alex Eala and Coco Gauff. The stories of Serena Williams caring for her children. The accounts of athletes standing together under emergency lights in the cold Berlin darkness. Those moments transformed a simple technical malfunction into something much larger. They created a story about uncertainty, a story about resilience, a story about how even the most famous athletes in the world can find themselves caught in completely ordinary situations. In the end, there was no fire. There was no danger. There was no disaster. But there was a memory of a sleepless Berlin night that brought together tennis stars, coaches, families, hotel staff, and guests in a way nobody could have predicted. For Alex Eala and everyone else involved, it was a reminder that sometimes the most memorable moments in sports happen far away from the court. Not during championship points, not during trophy ceremonies, not during historic victories, but during unexpected moments that reveal the people behind the athletes. And on that strange night in Berlin, a simple false alarm created exactly one of those unforgettable moments.